Good evening, everybody. The satanic Marxist Dems of the Biden regime are pushing the United States this evening toward World War III. Biden not only clearly is trying to destroy the United States with his open border policies, with all of his mad foreign policies, Secretary of State Antony Blinken just hours ago declared his alliance with Mexican drug cartels and his support of Xi Jinping and Communist China all will combine to set the stage, be the predicate for World War III. These Biden Satanists mean to take Europe into war over Ukraine, and Biden's pathetic Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling members of the NATO summit going on in France that Ukraine will be a member of NATO. That is a clear provocation. Vladimir Putin long ago declaring a further intrusion of NATO toward Russia is his principal red line.
As the Allies stated in Vilnius, Ukraine will be member of NATO. For us, the issue is having a good and clear roadmap to reach this conclusion.
So even now, as Ukraine struggles in its war against Russia, Blinken and Biden have effectively declared that the United States would eventually go to war to defend Ukraine. It's a shocking escalation if NATO were to follow through. The ignorance, the obvious oblivion of these Marxist dim Satanists of the Biden administration simply shocking, breathtaking, and they need to be shut down and soon. All of this as the Chinese CCP continues to manipulate and obviously manage Biden at every turn. Joe Biden is nothing more than a plaything for Xi Jinping, and Biden continues to invite into this country millions more illegals from all around the world as he tries to destroy this great nation. At the border, tens of thousands of Chinese illegals are flowing into the United States. For what purpose? For what reason? And where are they going? Border Patrol caught over 180 Chinese illegal aliens just yesterday, in one day. The number of Chinese caught entering this country over this fiscal year already equaling the number of all last year. Nearly 100,000 Americans dying, by the way, still each year from drug overdoses from fentanyl. And yet it is Xi Jinping who warns Biden to, quote, not provoke troubles. Provoke troubles, hell. This president doesn't have the guts to stand up against Xi Jinping and to demand the end of 100,000 American lives as simply a collateral damage in the cowardice of this administration vis-a-vis Xi Jinping and Communist China. Well, joining us now to talk about all of this is the author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon Chang joins us now. Gordon, great to have you with us. Let me start with first what is a craven cowardice on the part of this administration. I can't think of a single instance in which this president has stood up against Xi Jinping, the CCP, or their designs whether on the South China Sea, or whether it be on the lives of 100,000 Americans with Chinese fentanyl. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, we have seen a marked deterioration of our relations with China during the Biden administration. And I think that that's no coincidence. Xi Jinping has taken Biden's measure and believes he can do anything he wants. You know, Biden has all of these nice sounding statements, but they don't work in practice. You know, if we go back to the Trump administration, you know, President Trump set the tone when Xi Jinping went to Mar-a-Lago in April 2017. And that's when over dinner, over that beautiful chocolate cake, as President Trump said, you know, our president stood up and said that he had just ordered missile attacks on Syria. That's a Chinese ally. And basically, I think Xi Jinping started to gulp over his chocolate cake. And the reason is that they saw Trump as unpredictable. And that's why we had acceptable relations during the Trump era, especially compared to what is going on right now, because right now is really, really dangerous.
You know, I think, Gordon, is to your point, and I think you're exactly right. The unpredictability became sort of a mantra for the Marxist Dems as the reason that President Trump was so successful with his foreign policy and in meeting these threats, whether they be from Iran, whether they be from communist China or Russia. The reality is the strength and the proven leadership of President Trump is what set them back and left Xi Jinping gulping a bit, I believe. His unpredictability, there's certainly that. But his strength and his obvious determination to protect the United States and our allies was absolutely without any yield in it whatsoever. I want to turn to right now, if I may, the designs of this Xi Jinping era in China, for him to say to make no troubles to Joe Biden. That's what we know, at least came out of one conversation. We don't know much else. The arrogance of Xi Jinping and the bald-faced cowardice of this president and his entire national security team. They dither over Ukraine over here, while facing them straightforwardly is the assault from communist China, whether it's in the South China Sea, whether it is in this country through a fifth column, that they make designs not only on intellectual property and our technology and steal hundreds of billions every year without any response from these weak-kneed so-called Marxist Dems who are Satanists, but they are yellow bellies, if ever there were any, when it comes to China.
Yeah, it's particularly galling for Xi Jinping to lecture President Biden and say, don't provoke troubles. At the same time, we have the Chinese killing Americans with fentanyl. They killed 1.1 million Americans with COVID, according to Johns Hopkins. And basically, Biden has said nothing to Xi Jinping during their phone and video conferences and their 2 in-person meetings about the origins of this disease. We have China continuing to steal hundreds of billions of dollars, perhaps $500 billion a year of U.S. intellectual property. And we know that China is sending operatives and soldiers across our southern border. You know, just on March 27th, we had a Chinese national force his way onto the Marine Corps base at 29 Palms. This is after a series of similar incidents. We know the Chinese are now starting to see how they can get into U.S. bases because they've been testing base security with all of these intrusions. You know, the list goes on, Lou, but it's time for the United States to start imposing those costs on China, just as President Trump did with the tariffs in 2018.
Xi Jinping is protesting the so-called decoupling that's taking place, but it's Xi Jinping who is leading that decoupling now. Corporate America, Wall Street are just gagging on what they are watching as they see China starting to move away and wonder what will happen with all of those U.S. dollars that Wall Street and corporate America have invested in China. What is your outlook?
Well, as you're saying, you know, Xi Jinping is closing China off. He is attacking U.S. companies and foreign companies in general. And that was an intensification of a campaign we started to see last March with the raid on Minsk Group, the U.S.-based due diligence firm in Beijing. What was really hideous, though, was to see the 400 CEOs on November 15th go to that dinner in San Francisco and give standing ovations to Xi Jinping. And we saw the U.S. CEOs a week ago in Beijing after the China Development Forum, again talking to Xi Jinping, being stooges in a CCP propaganda ploy. This was just awful, Lou. And, you know, we have got to get the president to use emergency powers to get U.S. companies off Chinese soil, because if we don't do that, there are going to be some pretty horrible consequences.
Absolutely, you know, and wasn't it beautiful to watch all of those those China flags flying as those 400 CEOs went to dinner? Amazing. Gordon Chang, as always, great to have you with us. Thanks very much for joining us. Well, I want to turn right now to an important message. All of you out there know that Mike Lindell and MyPillow are no longer supported by big box stores or the major shopping channels the way they once were. In many cases, Mike and MyPillow have been, well, victims of the cancel culture brought to you by the Marxist Dems. Mike wants to pass savings directly on to you now, and so they're having a $25 extravaganza. And when Mike started MyPillow, it was a, well, one problem, one solution product company. Since then, obviously, Mike Lindell and his dedicated employees have produced hundreds of new products, and some of you may not even know about them. To get the word out, Mike is having a $25 extravaganza, as I said, a 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towels, $25. You get the theme. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, you guessed it, $25. And for the first time ever, the premium MyPillows with the all-new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size, $25. This amazing offer, brought to you by Mike Lindell, won't last long. So order now. Just go to mypillow.com or call 800-977-9152 and use promo code, are you ready? Dobbs, that's D-O-B-B-S. Thank you. Well, Gordon Chang bringing to us the greatest perspective possible, I believe, on geopolitics on communist China. And upcoming shocking dash cam footage showing a National Guardsman getting arrested for smuggling in illegal aliens. More on that coming right up. Also, the illegal alien who encouraged other illegals to commit crimes and take over people's homes, squatters, and he did all of that on TikTok. He's under arrest. We'll have that story and more straight ahead. Please stay with us.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0. When I invented MyPillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. MyPillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature-regulating thread. MyPillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of MyPillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back. As you know, Taiwan is still going through powerful aftershocks in the wake of the worst earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years. The earliest reporting, 9 dead, but we know that death toll is going to rise considerably. Thousands have been injured. Many remain trapped in the rubble of that earthquake, and rain on the way, the threat of landslides in the aftermath also rising. We pray for all of those affected by this catastrophe and, of course, their families. Texas National Guardsman Savion Johnson was arrested Sunday for allegedly smuggling an illegal alien across the border. Watch police apprehend this. And Johnson is the third National Guardsman to be caught trying to smuggle illegals across that part of Texas. Now, the Mexican drug cartels have lots of money, and they're obviously spreading it around. The fact is, corruption is pervasive on that border, both sides of that 2,000-mile-long border, and there needs to be, without question, extreme accountability for these traitorous guardsmen. Fortunately, only a few to this point. But speaking of criminals, viewers will recall the dim-witted loudmouth from Venezuela encouraging illegal aliens on TikTok to steal American homes to become squatters. Here is his clever message.
Mi gente, he pensado invadir una casa en United States, ya que me enteré que existe una ley que dice que si una casa no está habitada,
And that genius in the video is named Leonel Moreno, encouraging everybody to find an American house and squat in it and take it over. He now, I'm pleased to tell you, is facing serious federal charges. Moreno wanted attention, and now he's gotten it from ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And if you aren't a little fired up right now, you will be after this story. Prosecutors just announced charges against Natividad Garcia, an illegal alien who made child pornography with a child he smuggled across the border. Garcia convinced authorities he was the child's uncle, and they made every mistake they could have. They apparently took his word for it. And every smuggling victim, every child abused by a predator, I want to remind everyone, is on the hands of Joe Biden and his satanic Marxist Dems that have turned over that southern border to the Mexican drug cartels, who accept 100,000 lost American lives every year as collateral damage to their wanton policies. Well, turning now to Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany. He's a great American. He's on the front lines of that invasion at the border. He's investigated how Biden and the allied organizations with it are enabling wide open illegal alien crossings into America. And Congressman Tiffany joins us now. Congressman, great to have you with us. I have to say that there is no excuse in the world for anyone in Washington, D.C., a policymaker, a lawmaker, working for this sorry administration. We're watching 100,000 Americans a year die from fentanyl crossing that border. We're watching 80, 100, you name the number of children who are now in sex trafficking because of the Biden policies. When does it stop, Congressman?
Unfortunately, it may have to take a terrorist act that is so serious that it wakes up the American people. We're hoping, Lou, that this will be the key issue come November, that people understand that this full-scale invasion that's going on in their country, that's killing Americans, but also there is nothing humanitarian about what is going on here. The Biden, as you said, this is on Joe Biden. And this is why we impeached Alejandro Mayorkas, because he is the point person that says this is acceptable. This is acceptable. The fentanyl poisonings, the terrorists, people coming in on the terror watch list. And now you see the stories about pedophiles doing movies that they put out on the internet I mean, this is the stuff that happens as a result of illegal immigration and the harm being done to America. You can't begin to cite all the ways in which it is hurting us.
So let me ask you this. How in the world do we explain your Speaker of the House going ahead and funding this ignorant, vicious, venal, Marxist, satanic administration, and doing so without so much as a hesitation, putting together $200 million for the FBI that's weaponized against the American people and building them a building? How do we explain what the Republican leadership is doing in the House of Representatives then?
Well, I mean, I believe, Lou, that H.R. 2 should be attached to the Secure the Border bill we passed back in May, sits before the Senate currently. They could pass it any time.
Congressman, in all respect, that's a different question. That's a bill that didn't get passed in the Senate. That's a bill that isn't before the president for his signature. It is a grand idea. However, it's history. And unfortunately,
it should be attached to every bill. Lou, it should be attached to every bill.
I'm with you. But what I asked you was, how do you explain the conduct of your leadership, your Speaker of the House, when it comes to supporting the very administration that is killing 100,000 Americans every year through fentanyl that crosses that border that Joe Biden turned over to the Mexican drug cartels? He is as culpable in this as anyone, if not more so.
We need to take every measure possible to attempt to make that happen. But this is why you see some discontent that is happening at this point in our conference, because we're not using every tool to be able to make that happen. But ultimately, it's like President Trump has been saying, Lou. The decision is going to be made in November. The American people are going to decide, is this acceptable or not? They're going to make the decision in November.
So let me ask you this. November right now, we're about 7 months away. If Mike Johnson had any guts, any character, any courage, any principle, he would have shut down the government and not financed the weaponized FBI, weaponized against the American people. He would shut down the government that is making it possible for 100,000 Americans to be fed fentanyl and die of overdoses. He could have brought to an end sex trafficking now. And now we have to wait till November 5th. I mean, that now is Christian Visibility Day, and hallelujah. But I have to tell you, I can't stomach what I'm watching in the weakness and the aversion to responsibility on the part, again, of the Speaker, Mike Johnson, and all of the fools who follow him like blind acolytes.
Well, Lou, you've seen my votes. And I have one vote out of 435, and my vote has been no on all of these budget bills.
And you've got a vote to be and I'm getting to exactly that point. That's why I'm asking you, because you know what? Most people won't even, in that conference, won't even have the guts to talk about it. I mean, I don't know where this country goes if we cannot be repulsed by what we are witnessing from this government. And by the way, that includes the Speaker and his leadership team, and the hacks, by the way, from the swamp that advise him so poorly. Give us a sense of where we go from here in terms of, or is it just a wait for 7 months and wait for Donald Trump to save us all? Is that really where we are? Or is there something the Republican Party is going to do?
I do think, Lou, I mean, I could give you some warm and fuzzies and say, hey, this may come up in the next month or two or whatever, but I'm not going to do that. I do think that it's going to end up, the decision's going to be made in November. I think that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, we're going to have to put up with this crap for until that time. And we can only pray that the American people will do the job that you are talking about.
You know, the American people are getting done to right now. They're getting done to by the Republicans and the Democrats and the Satanist Biden regime. The American people have just about been done to enough. What in the world are we going to, why should anyone expect anything better of Republicans if they can't even stand up in the most straightforward manner possible right now? A man who claims he's a Christian. Mike Johnson, a man who claims that he is about the Constitution, a man who said he was going to release videotapes. He did not. By the way, he's the second Republican speaker to lie about that as well. At what point do we just say that the Republican Party is as craven and disgusting in its leadership as any Democrat?
That's a question I get from constituents regularly, and it's a good one, Lou. And here's what's going to be different after 2024. When we retain our majority in the House, we get the majority in the Senate, and Donald Trump is the next president, he is going to set the agenda for the American people starting in January of 2025. And the difference between 2016 and 2017 and 2025 is Donald Trump and his team is going to be ready. I mean, if you remember, it was kind of the dog catching the car. What do you do with it now? Well, his team is ready because I've seen some of the proposals that are out there that are teed up, ready to go, that are going to bring America back. And I think it's going to take President Trump's leadership to make that happen.
Well, I think you're right, because I think, first of all, he's the only one with the strength, the intellect, the capacity, and the stamina. Did I mention strength? To lead this country. And if so help me God, if I hear one rhino whine about his mean tweets, I'm going to have a conniption. There it is, a threatened conniption, Congressman. Congressman Tom Tiffany, always great to have you with us. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. And thank you for those votes, and thank you for your integrity. We appreciate it.
You have a great weekend, Lou. Thank you.
You too. Coming up next, the top Democrat who predicted the Republican flop of 2022 says Biden is a guaranteed winner this year. What's that all about? And just how concerned should we be? Well, also, dumping Ronna McDaniel, wow, that was a grand idea. You know what? It's paid off. Tens of millions of dollars more pouring into the coffers of the Republican National Committee. She's only been gone, what, maybe a month? Not bad. A good decision there, President Trump. Thank you so much on behalf of all Americans. And join us each and every day, 7 days a week, for my podcast, The Great America Show, at LouDobbs.com, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be there, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
And welcome back. The Biden administration caught in another lie. I would say surprising lie, but there's no surprise when they lie. Ahead of the 2022 midterms, the Biden administration drained our nation's strategic petroleum reserve. It is vital, of course, for our nation in case of emergency or a time of war. Biden played politics with national security. And by the way, to be very clear, he reduced the strategic petroleum reserves to the lowest level in 4 decades. And at that time, the Biden administration promised, of course, to refill the reserves. But now, with gas prices up more than 45%, Biden is, well, he says it's just a little too expensive for right now. So we'll just have to suffer through and see if we can ship any more of our oil to, say, China. Take a listen.
You guys started draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and help with the Putin price hike a few years ago. Said you were going to refill it, but now it doesn't seem like that's happening. Why?
Well, I believe the Department of Energy is responsible for that particular component, is refilling that. So I would refer you to the Department of Energy. I know there were certain components to that and how they were going to move forward in refilling it. They would have more specifics on that for you.
Okay.
You know, that White House and their spokespeople are just ridiculous. I mean, why do they even bother? They're just one silly character after another. It's a Department of Energy issue. No, it's actually a national security issue in point of fact, but that would be a shock to everyone. And why would the White House press corps want to quibble with their spokesman? Because frankly, it just isn't going to be productive. And the Marxist Dems are doing everything they can, as always, to keep President Donald Trump out of the White House, trying to silence him. They'll try to cheat with everything they've got. They'll try to deplete his money. They'll try to interfere with the election, and they're surely trying to send him to prison. But Trump's support from the American people is stronger than ever. Stronger than ever. The polls are showing, well, some top Democratic strategists concede right now that he is favored to win in November. But the list doesn't include Simon Rosenberg, citing the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the Democrat Party's fundraising haul. Rosenberg is absolutely convinced, because that's what boy geniuses do. They get convinced that Joe Biden will win re-election in November. There's no question that there's a lot riding on that election this year. It is not only Christian Visibility Day, that's going to be American Destiny Day. Even when Trump wins, he will be faced with a monumental task of rooting out the deep state and the evil that pervades our federal bureaucracy. Mike Gonzalez is senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's been writing about these subjects for years, and he says the deep state is on this year's ballot as well. Mike Gonzalez joins us now to talk about all of that and his new book, Next Gen Marxists. Mike, first of all, great to have you here, and I want to congratulate you on your new book. Have we got a picture of that book we could put up for the audience to see? Because we want to recommend it to our audience highly, if we can put that up. So, Mike, tell me this. We've got a bureaucracy, a federal government that is owned by the Marxist Dems and all of their satanic accomplices. What's it going to take this time?
Well, it's going to take the American people, obviously. The permanent state, the permanent bureaucracy is one of these thorny issues, and I'm glad you bring it up, Lou, because it's called the fourth branch of government. But you know, I'm old school. I'm old, you know, because you can see. So I actually had to read the Constitution when I went to school, and I never found any reference to a fourth branch. There's the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So this is an unconstitutional branch that has grown and grown and grown since Wilson, and then through FDR and Johnson. It now has at least 2.2 million people, and you have to add to that, and other people think it's higher than that. It was over 4 million. And then you have to add to that the 17 million who work as government contractors who report to the permanent state, and so you have close to 20 million people and you juxtapose that, and they're very leftist. They're very every study that's done, they lean heavily to
They're
the
Marxist.
left.
Yeah.
And then you contrast that with the presidential appointees. I was a presidential appointee in the Bush administration, and you know how many that is,
Right.
Lou? 4,000. 4,000 versus 20 million. So as I could tell you, as anyone who's been in a meeting, it's really hard to carry out conservative policy.
Yeah, it's hard to carry out conservative politics, and I think that we sort of start with this predicate, and that is people need to understand that the permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, whatever one wants to call it, it is a suffocating, vast enterprise that answers not to the President of the United States or the American people, the American voter. The consent of the governed is not sought. The reality is that permanent bureaucracy, that fourth branch of government, as you put it, they respond only to themselves and their like-minded ideologues, that is the Marxist Dems of the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, the puppet president, and all of the Marxists who surround him and make up his administration. We really have to acknowledge what that federal government is, and it is weaponized against us. It is out of the control of our three branches of government, and they answer to no one, correct?
Yeah, they can't be fired. That's basically, so what some people are proposing is that if you're in policymaking, now if you give technical or scientific advice, that's fine. The American people actually need technical and scientific advice. But if you're in policymaking, then you should be an at-will hire. You should be a political appointee, somebody whom the executive branch can fire. And that's the change that is being sought. This is a change that would return power to the American people, in that right now they're living in a system where the people making the rules cannot be fired. They do not report to the consent of the governed. Congress passes laws, but they're empty laws. The bureaucrats animate these laws. They fill the laws with the rules and regulations. They legislate.
Yeah. These sops who make up the rule makers in our government, these agencies, there is no constitutional basis whatsoever for them to be making rules, for them to be enforcing rules, which they are. Not only do they then enforce the rules, they also then litigate the rules and administer the rules across. We have created a monster in this country. I don't think most Americans have, and thank you for writing this book. I don't think most Americans have any idea what power resides in that permanent bureaucracy, that deep state. And by the way, they only deal. Think about the intelligence community. They're filled with Marxists. The military filled with woke left-wingers running it. And I'm talking about the generals on down to the privates. I mean, it's pervasive what we have allowed this government to become, because the American people have not had a leader outside of Donald Trump for the last 30 years who could contend with the bureaucracy.
You know, the American people actually do know. They may not think it's a permanent bureaucracy, but if you're a lobster fisherman in Maine, or you just have a lemonade stand in Lubbock, Texas, and you have the government come and tell you, I'm sorry, that tail is an inch too long, or that tail is an inch too short, or you don't have enough, you don't have a license, you, 7-year-old Boy Scout kid, you don't have a license to sell lemonade in the street. So, we're going to take you to juvie. Actually, that's an exaggeration, of course, but they'll close down your stand. So the American people actually do understand their suffering on this maw of regulation, the regulatory state.
Yeah. So my point is, I don't think they understand that there's millions of people involved in this enterprise.
Right.
All of whom are absolutely immune and protected, and we're talking about We're talking about, first of all, civil service. Then we're talking about unions. And by the way, we're talking about unions across every floor and reach of that entire deep state. It's incredible. And then they can't be touched. They're untouchable. They're unfireable. You can't do, and they're in charge. And don't ever forget it. And somehow, some way, Mike Gonzalez, how in the world will Donald Trump be able to bring this government to heel, to be able to fire the fools at the FTC or the SEC or you name it, the Department of Education, who try to block public policy, that is laws by the legislature, the Congress, and the Senate, or an executive, the President of the United States, who seeks to protect our borders?
Well, my employer, the Heritage Foundation, has put together a coalition of over 100 conservative groups who have written a volume called Project 2025, which has many recommendations for the next president, whoever he or she is, which includes, it's just one segment of it, includes what to do about the permanent state, the civil service. And by the way, we would love for President Biden to take a look at our recommendations. We're nonpartisan. You know, we want anybody to
Mike, I'm sorry, Mike, come on. Stop. I know there are all sorts of rules and games that are played, but you know what? You're talking about a Marxist Dem who is absolutely a satanic figure who is destroying this country, and you're talking about, seriously, he's going to take a look at a Heritage Foundation recommendation? Mike, I appreciate the sentiment and the bipartisanship and the flowers and the daffodils that are falling from the sky as you speak, but it's crazy. One of the biggest problems we've got is that people won't acknowledge what's what. And what's what is this. We have a Marxist that is running this government. We have Marxists throughout this government, and they mean to destroy America. This is a war. It's a war, Mike. You know that.
Well, actually, you just reminded me of something. We do write our policy formulations for anybody to take them. I imagine that only a conservative executive may want to enact them, but that is something we regret. And that is the truth. Now, you just said they want to destroy the country. That we regret.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Can you hear me? It is something we regret that only a conservative would enact our policies, our policy recommendations.
Can I tell you, Mike, of all the regrets that I've got in life, of all the regrets I've got in life, of all the regrets you've got in life, you're not telling me that regret is in the top 100, are you? Because, I mean, we're in a nation that is bleeding. We have a government that is suffocating this country. The Constitution is being shredded. We have turned over our borders to the Mexican drug cartels. That doesn't even get on my list. It's not even approaching that list. How about yours? Be honest.
But no. Look, I want to see conservative policy enacted, Lou. That's what I want.
Yeah.
We formulate these policy recommendations because we want to see them enacted, and we think they're the common sense policy recommendations. That's the point I'm trying to make, Lou.
All right. Well, I should be helping you more do just that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend your book highly. And that is Next Gen Marxist, written by Mike Gonzalez. We recommend the book to you highly. And you can get your book now at Amazon, bookstores everywhere, and we urge you to do so. And again, thanks to Mike Gonzalez. You know, all of you know that Mike Lindell and MyPillow no longer are supported by those big box stores or the shopping channels that MyPillow once enjoyed. All part of the, this era of cancel culture. But Mike has been thinking about this. The great folks at MyPillow have been thinking about it, being part of that cancel culture. They want to pass savings on to you directly. So they're having what they're calling a $25 extravaganza. And when Mike Lindell says extravaganza, he means it. And when he says $25, he means that too. When Mike started MyPillow, it was a, well, one problem, one solution kind of company. But since then, with the help of his dedicated employees and a lot of sweat and innovation, they've come up with hundreds of products, some of which you may not even know about. But to get the word out, they're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Did you know they had sandals? $25. Their 6-pack towels, $25, and brand new 4-pack dish towels. You guessed it, Mike Lindell guarantees $25. And for the first time ever, the premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size, $25. The amazing offer won't last long, so please order now. Just go to mypillow.com or call 800-977-9152. That's 800-977-9152. And use promo code, wait for it, use promo code Dobbs. Thank you. And coming up, the firing of Ronna McDaniel. Thank you. The firing of Ronna McDaniel has paid off big time. President Trump bringing in millions of dollars with a new leadership at the Republican National Committee. That story's next. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back. Well, Joe Biden, he's just not happy, just tyrannizing Americans. No, he also wants to kneecap our allies in Israel, or worse. Jewish News Syndicate reports that Biden wants to use a color revolution to overthrow Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mind you, this is coming from the White House. It is the same playbook used to install a puppet regime in Ukraine, the same tactic Democrats used against Donald Trump in 2020. By the way, it's the same plan that Barack Obama was running against Israel in the first 2 terms of his administration. Turning now to the corrupt Fulton County DA's office, divorce court filings show Fannie Willis's Get Trump special prosecutor Nathan Wade owes thousands of dollars in child support. This is the same Nathan Wade who was taking Fannie Willis on vast, cruises and all sorts of fancy trips. His estranged wife says deadbeat Wade is why she can't even pay rent or cover the cost of her urgent medical issues. Willis surely knows how to pick up the Well, the lowlifes, that whole office in Georgia is filled with them. And it should be, I think it's clear to everyone now, closed and converted to something, well, I don't know, more productive and perhaps more in line with the community's interests and needs. Turning now to the Republican National Committee, it looks like dumping Ronna McDaniel was a great idea, and it's already paying off and paying off big. The Republicans announcing yesterday they raised a whopping $65 million for the month of March, and they ended the month with more than $90 million cash on hand. Now, that's quite a payoff just for getting rid of Ronna McDaniel. We've been saying it for years, and finally, the payoff is here. This after inheriting an RNC from Ronna McDaniel that had less than $10 million on hand, the lowest cash reserves in the RNC in decades. Adios, Ronna, and there we are. The money starts pouring in. The fundraising news comes as a coalition of conservatives gathered in Washington, D.C. to agree to an early voting plan that will turn the tide for the Republican Party in November. Just the News reporting the exclusive story. And with us this evening with more details and more than that, Just the News founder and host John Solomon. John, great to have you with us.
Yeah,
this is an interesting idea.
This
is an interesting idea. The idea of actually bringing the party together, focusing it, and moving ahead. Give us your thinking.
Well, I think it's tied to the story you just mentioned, which is I think there was earlier this year such distrust in Ronna McDaniel's ability to conduct elections the way the RNC is supposed to conduct them, that a group of 501c4 and other groups got together and said, listen, we can't rely on the Republican National Committee anymore. We got to do this ourselves. Democrats have been eating our lunch when it comes to early voting. We start in all the battleground states, 300,000 votes behind in every race on election day. You can't make that up in 13 hours. And Ronna said she was creating an early voting system. We didn't pick up any new early votes, so it didn't work. And I think now this group of activists, which, by the way, some of the most famous people in conservative politics, people like Ralph Reed, who has been getting the vote out for evangelicals for 4 decades, going all the way back to Reagan. Some of the largest players in the conservative movement, AMAC, the senior citizen group that has 2 million plus members in America, they're all working together with the idea that we're going to beat the Democrats at the game. The Democrats changed the rules. Now we're going to beat them at their own rules, and that will deliver an important victory in 2024. There's a pledge involved. A lot of the things that are going on here are very similar to the Reagan 1980 campaign. If you remember, Reagan put together with Kat Weinberger and Ed Meese and others a coalition that really hadn't existed since Ford lost in '76. Everybody working together, common goals, common message, common strategies, pool your resources. That obviously delivered the extraordinary 1980 verdict for Ronald Reagan. And of course, then during the Reagan years, the tax pledge came along, the no new taxes tax pledge. Obviously, George H.W. Bush ran afoul of that one, but that became a rallying point for conservatives. This has the coalition of Reagan, and it has a pledge that we're all going to work together with common principles. A lot of unanimity, a lot of excitement. And now the conservative movement doesn't have to rely on the RNC solely to be victorious or not. I think that's the real bottom line here.
And the RNC is critically important, and as is the fundraising for across the party, up and down, local, state, federal. But the real issue to me right now is, can the Republican Party contend with a Marxist Dem party that is absolutely lawless? We know they're cheating. They've already started cheating. We're looking at 3 swing states, battleground states, where millions of already folks have signed up, registered to vote, and nobody knows who they are because there isn't a voter ID, and there isn't going to be. And we're seeing those kinds of things being, as it were, prosecuted by the Democrats across the country. We got 19 states where basically you can get you can get registered by hook or by crook. Take your choice. I mean, we're so far behind this thing that do we have a plan to deal with that?
I think when you look into the details of this coalition, that every aspect of what the George Soros sort of machinery that was built over the last 6 to 8 years, the Republicans have an answer for the first time to each one of them. We're going to go to court. Every time we see a rule change, we're going to contest it if we don't think it jives with what the legislature set as the law for this election. They have get out early vote operations, which are going to go get people registered, get them to vote, and then make sure they get through provisional status. You know, Abe Hamadeh likely would have won his race in Arizona if 4,000 provisional votes had been counted. They weren't counted. Well, Democrats know that Republicans can get thrown into provisional status. There's a chasing plan to make sure anyone who's provisional gets fixed and gets counted before Election Day. Those are the tactics that the left has been using since the 2018 election. And keep in mind, even though the Democrats have done this massive effort, they're still winning elections by just a little bit, 10, 20, 30,000 votes in most of these states. Just a little effort by Republicans on some of these things could go a long way to closing that gap. And I've studied this a lot. First, I studied what the Democrats did so I could report on really what they were doing. And then I looked at this plan. It is very close in execution, in concept, in funding and resources to what the left has done. I think anyone who's a conservative should feel good that this is going to be a margin difference. It's going to make some big differences in some states. And keep in mind, while this is going on, you've got a mass defection of people leaving the Democratic Party saying, we're done with this craziness. It's African Americans, it's Hispanics, it's young voters, it's union workers, it's Asian Americans. Keep an eye on Asian Americans. They're moving the way of conservatives. That movement towards the conservative movement plus this ground game could probably be a really good winning recipe for Republicans in the fall.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, we need all the help we can get. The Democrats have got some really nasty pieces of business personalities, legal personalities that have changed those rules for them, that have directed things, and you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I hope that I hope we have I hope we have some folks who are just as tough, just as smart, and just as mean to get out there and get the job done. Your thoughts on that as we wrap up here, John?
Yeah, Wisconsin, Tuesday night, Zuckerbucks and one other liberal tactic defeated and banned in the Wisconsin state constitution. Zuckerbucks, no more. You won't be able to put private money to try to influence elections. That's a big win. And what does it tell you? Common sense Americans figured out what the Democrats are doing. They don't like it anymore. That's going to hamper the Democrats going forward. That was a big win in Wisconsin for election integrity and common sense.
Yeah, I agree. And as always, another great win for John Solomon, the founder and editor-in-chief of Just the News. And as always, John, we thank you for being here with us, my friend. Come back soon.
Great to be
God
with
bless.
You. Thank you, sir. Will do. You too.
Thanks. Researchers at Yale found that pharmaceutical firms have spent about $12 billion sending out bonuses to doctors over the past decade. What was that about? Companies creating incentives for doctors to push certain drugs and services, and those patients who trust their physicians to do what's best for them. Well, is it corruption? Is it bribery? Or is it just good business? Well, you decide. Ending on a happy note, Lauren Boebert is back on the campaign trail already. Now, this is extraordinary because she had to have emergency surgery to remove a blood clot just a few days ago. She's already out campaigning. The Colorado Congresswoman underwent emergency surgery on her left leg, but it didn't take long, obviously, for her to get back into action. And that is good news for the Republican Party in the House of Representatives that's down to one vote for their majority. Did you hear me, Mike Johnson? One vote. Join us each and every day for my podcast, The Great America Show, available at LouDobbs.com, wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for being with us tonight, and please join us here tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Trump-backed candidate who won Ohio's Republican Senate primary race, Bernie Moreno, will be joining us tomorrow, Republican candidate for senator from the great state of Ohio. Also, like clockwork, as we head into a very important election season, the medical establishment and the Marxist media are sounding the alarm on another potential pandemic. Are you ready? It's called the bird flu. We'll be talking with Dr. Mark Richards about that and much more. Please be with us for that. The Lindell Report coming right up. And here is Mike Lindell. Thanks for being with us. Good night, and God bless you.